You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Conner Weigman or Kaidon Salter? Which do you prefer? Leave a comment in the comment section below. This is a very, very difficult choice for me. In theory, if everything were equal, I talked about it in a Poll Friday last week, actually. Poll Friday, which quarterback option I would prefer. And I would say one with 2 years plus of eligibility. Conner Weigman has 2+ years. Kaidon Salter has 1 year. If you get someone with 2+ years, you're not waiting for a quarterback in theory. You have to keep him next year as well from the portal. But in theory, you don't have to wait for a quarterback until 2027. Whereas if we get Kaidon Salter tomorrow, we're back in the same spot a year from now. What do we do at the quarterback position? Here's the deal. Okay, I'll do a whole comparison for you right now. They each have a common red flag, and that is that both players regressed from this season to last season. They were better in 2023 than they were in 2024. More comparisons, though, okay? Weigman has an injury history. Kaidon Salter, off the field issues. Okay, those are both red flags. They're two different red flags. Kaidon Salter, by all indications, he's healthy, but he's got off the field issues from 2021. Conner Weigman, I mean, maybe there's something that I'm missing, but I don't think he has any sort of off-field problems, at least with law enforcement, but he's got an injury history. Scheme-wise, Conner Weigman, he currently fits the offensive system that's in place right now. He's a pro-style quarterback. He's very similar to Kyle McCord. But if Syracuse were to get a guy like Kaidon Salter, as I explained on yesterday's podcast, you got to rebuild the system. You got to make it so that it's designed for him. Because if you don't, it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. It can't do it, okay? How about floor-ceiling combination? Conner Weigman and Kaidon Salter, in my opinion, they both have a very similar ceiling. And that is, I think, if both achieve their potential, both of them are all ACC caliber quarterbacks. We saw what Kaidon Salter did in 2023 when he had 44 combined touchdowns. Conner Weigman, a former 5-star guy who was really, really effective in limited playing time from 2022 to 2023. Both of them have potential to be all ACC. But I think that Salter actually has the higher floor because we've seen Conner Weigman at his worst. 800 yards in 6 games, 3 touchdowns, 5 picks. Not very good. But Kaidon Salter's floor from last season, albeit it wasn't great, but the comparison I made was Thomas Castellanos from Boston College. That's the floor. That's the worst that you do with Kaidon Salter, in my opinion. And if that's the absolute worst, I think you can do a whole lot better. The only reason why I'm saying I don't want Thomas Castellanos is because there's no ceiling with him. I already know what he is. I already know he's not very good. I already know he cannot elevate a team. So if you get Kaidon Salter, that's the worst case scenario, though. The best case is what I just said with Conner Weigman as well. He can be all ACC. Castellanos can't, but those two can. However, Weigman has the lower floor where he would be unplayable. You can't play a quarterback who's going to throw you 800 yards in 6 games, 3 touchdowns to 5 picks. Can't do it. That's not acceptable. Years of eligibility, though, it favors Conner Weigman. He's got 2 years. Kaidon Salter, 1 year. I'm glad I'm not paid to make this decision if this is what it comes down to. I'm a podcast host. I get to just give my opinion, sit and react to what happens, and I don't have to deal with the repercussions. Maybe as a fan I do, and we ourselves as fans do, but I don't have to worry about getting fired if they choose the wrong guy or being wrong. I'm just glad I don't get paid to make this decision because it's really, really difficult. It really is. If I had to give an opinion, though, I prefer Kaidon Salter slightly more. And I think it's because of the higher floor than Weigman. That's the only reason. All things being equal, I want the guy for 2+ years. But I think that Salter, in terms of ability, gives you a higher floor with the same ceiling as a Conner Weigman. And so that's why I very, very slightly lean towards Salter. So it's like 51-49. I had a really hard time deciding, but I had to pick.